Miss International. Miss International. They control me. And control me. Miss International dimension. You got me in another dimension. One line, another dimension. You got me in another dimension. One line. You got me in another dimension. One line. You got me in another dimension. If you wanna chill with a winner, pull up on a knee and you wanna share my where you wanna be, baby, I'm ready to go. Sema tuanzie Paris ama twende Kotigo. Control me. Oh, you control me. Control me. International dimension. You got me in another dimension. One line, another dimension. You got me in another dimension. One line, dimension. You got me in another dimension. One line. You got me in another dimension. You got me in another dimension. One line. You got me in another dimension. Control me. Wagwan, beautiful people. How are you doing? Karibuni sana to another episode of the African Diary Show. My name is Katie. To all those who are joining us for the first time, and to everybody who is there with us, Karibuni sana. To all those who are listening to me via the radio station, Asanteni sana. To everybody who is just joining us, please make sure as you join, you smash that like button. But anyway, Karibuni sana. I hope your Tuesday is coming along great, and it is finding you at good health and also at peace. And yes, we are 10 minutes to 3 p.m. right here in Nairobi. Our day started just like yesterday. I don't know what is wrong with this week, but anyway, the week is good. We thank the universe, and we are grateful for another new day on this planet Earth. But anyway, how are you doing today? Get to interact with me, and do remember, we are live and interactive on our media handles. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere at Black Hot Fire Network. And to all those who are listening to me from YouTube, make sure you also download the radio application. Sometimes you might not be able to watch, but you can listen via the radio station. All you have to do is go to Google Play Store, download the Black Hot Fire Network application, and listen to me loud and clear. And by the way, we are at 24 degrees Celsius, just like yesterday. Most of the parts are cloudy, but it is not bad the weather. At least it's sunny and chilly at the end of the day. But anyway, get to interact with me. Do remember I told you we are live and interactive on our media handles, so you can simply get to interact with me. And to all those who are listening to me via the radio station, by the way, I don't see you interacting with me, but you can also get to interact with us on the show page, on the live stream. You can just pin your comment anywhere. I'll get to check them and read them out. But on today's episode, we shall be discussing something not new to us. It is something we've talked about so many times, and it is about slavery in Africa. And today, I want us to know how slavery started in Africa. There were history, or rather, there was some of the histories that we were not taught, some of the things that we were not taught about our history. And for me, I didn't know that now. It is evidence, but I didn't know, or rather I was not taught that slavery came as like it was brought up, or it was born from racism. I didn't know all about that. We were not taught about that. I just thought that the Europeans felt like it is good, or rather it is okay for them to enslave Africans. But also do remember, before now they came to enslave Africans, they were enslaving themselves. They could enslave a European, could enslave another European, an Indian could enslave another Indian. And now the results of now having like we being Africans, or rather being black, being having that racial difference from them, that is when they started feeling like we should go and enslave these people. And we took it lightly because now we thought that being white is the best thing to be. But anyway, on today's episode, I told you we shall be we shall be talking about slavery in Africa. How did it begin, and why did it thrive in Africa? Because we still have modern day slavery. We still have this modern day slavery. We keep on saying that slavery never really ended in Africa, and it is very true. Slavery never ended in Africa. Right now we have people who are being enslaved, and also we have Africans who are enslaving other Africans. So slavery never really ended. But yes, this is now what I'm saying. We have modern day slavery. We shall get to look at all those, and also get to interact with me. If you find it interesting, or rather if you have something to add on top of this, please make sure you keep on your comments coming. Please make sure you keep the chat going. Please make sure you're not silent on the chat. For those 4 people in the building, how are you guys? I hope you're enjoying your day, and also I hope so far you have started to enjoy our show for today. I started off the show with an amazing jam done by BN, and the jam is a dimension. I hope you did get to jam onto it as we're getting started off with our show for today. We shall get back to one more jam, and then we'll be back with a quote of the day. And in case you have a quote of the day, you have some wise words of the day, some proverb you'd love to share with the rest of us, please make sure you keep it coming. I keep on telling you, it is always generous for you to encourage a brother, a sister, or rather to put some words of knowledge to their minds. But anyway, this is what Cardinali. The jam is the MCA. Get to jam onto it. Still MCA, USA, USB na kateja type C. Character yangu imedevelop
ADHD ndani ya MC, still MCA, USA, USB na kateja type C. Character yangu imedevelop ADHD ndani ya APNB. Screen yangu bado ni JBC. Old school blood mi wana KBC. Kitu mbaya siwa CC. Watu wa CBC unaweza Twitter Gen Z. Same thing, she still never change. Bado MVP tukimalizanga game.
Sio ni haya zetu kanashi.
Middle VIP kwa show zote mnaten. JWK ukituona JK jeshi ya B imekaa kuharibu South C. Barricade kuna wale wanaike jeshi ya D imekaa kuharibu South B. Enzi zile tumeshin tumapicha ndio tunaga ID MP ajesikia our plea mara IBC vitote tusaidi MC
Still MCA, USA, USB na kachota type C. Character yangu imedevelop recap.
ADHD ndani ya PNP
MC, still MCA, USA, USB na kachota type C. My quote of the day says, or rather my African proverb of the day says, knowledge is like a lion, it cannot be gently embraced. And this is very true. It means that now to gain knowledge, you have to go after it with all your energy. And it is very true, by the way. If you want knowledge, you must cultivate for it. You have to cultivate for knowledge. If you want knowledge, you have to go deeper in the books. If you want knowledge, you have to look for it. If you want history, this is what I also keep on saying. You have to go deeper into the books and find now your own history, the real history.
ADHD ndani ya PNP yo ni kama
Coming
ndio
on
ndio corona
wanabonga very bad loud how my haters.
Snack full corner sababu sao music onesha arrogance nikitaka pen labda nikitaka ring tupita aniezi labda atitaka ring ujoni kuficha ring tuketuma featuring sprite lean na nicotine dry gin na nicotine
Hi honey, I'm home.
Nazikindaga kapten magidesha since kindergarten na daingi kikadesha Mombasa Naivasha
Ama nikupeleke Rhodesia.
Amadamba Kamoro Achani Anik Waigo
Still MCA, USA, USB na kachota type C. Character yangu imedevelop recap.
ADHD ndani ya PNP
MC, still MCA, USA, USB na kachota type C.
Character yangu imedevelop recap. ADHD ndani ya PNP yo
Niko fully loaded.
MCA mbele ya wasee
Fully loaded.
Choose kazi cha uchumi ngori usilize nafanya nini
Niko shughuli zote.
usimess na ishit ni dem yako
Sikumtishi nilimpin.
Urura Windows ni tint karawa na chunguza nini ina stink Regent
Are you behaving?
KSM vitu tulifanya Airbnb
Bado MCA. Welcome back. That is Wakadinali. The jam is MCA and MCA. I hope you did get to jam onto it. Kay Williams, I see you in the building. Karibu sana. You're saying, what's up, Katie? The time here is 7:57 a.m. I bet right now it is 7:59 a.m. And I hope you're enjoying the day. I'm good. I hope you're good too. And also you're asking, did you go back to eating meat? Nope. I don't think I'll be going even back anytime soon. So I'm still kicking, by the way. I'm trying, and no, I'm trying to avoid meat at all costs. But anyway, I've not eaten meat since I stopped. I'm doing good, by the way. You need to congratulate me. But anyway, getting to the matters of the day, I told you we shall be talking about slavery in Africa, and we shall be discussing on how slavery started in Africa. You know, we've been told about slavery, but we were not told how it started. How did slavery start in Africa? I like, this is a question we all need to ask ourselves, because I remember when we were talking about, now we were being taught about slavery in Africa, or rather slave trade and slavery in Africa. You know what we were taught, by the way? I remember when we were learning about slavery in Africa, we were taught that now it was your families selling you to the Europeans so that you can go and become a slave to them. They were selling you off to those people who used to buy slaves, and at times you could be even exchanged with the goods, just like now the way we have barter trade. You could be exchanged. Maybe they could get a sufuria, and then, or rather maybe a sack of maize, and then they give you out to the Europeans. This is what we were taught in school. For real, I'm not even trying to cap. This is what we were taught. We were never taught about the Europeans started to, or rather the slavery was brought by racism. We were not taught about how slavery came into Africa. We were just taught that now even your own parents could sell you off to the Europeans because they were poor. They wanted, now they could sell you to go and become a slave because they were poor and they needed to survive. So the Europeans could even offer them a sack of maize, and then they give you off to the Europeans. That is how we were taught about slavery in Africa. And that is how we were taught that slavery started in Africa. But do you think that this is true? Of course, it is not the truth. Of course, this is a lie. Slavery was a fruit of racism. It came from racism. And you know, before these Europeans came to enslave Africans, they used to enslave the fellow Europeans, those Europeans who are not doing very well in their communities. They were being enslaved by the Europeans that were doing very well in their communities. Just like now we have or rather, just like now, for example, the way you could find even here in Africa, maybe let's give an example like the people who are doing the most, or rather people who are doing very well in life. They have money, they are rich, they are wealthy. And there's a person like now, a person who is not earning anything, or rather is so desperate in life. They are they are very poor and they want to make a living. They would go to work for these people who have money, who are rich and are wealthy, just to make sure that now they are earning for themselves. And this is like modern day slavery, because if now you're paying me little and you have money, it's like you're enslaving me. But anyway, that is not my point. I was saying that yes, we have Europeans used to enslave their fellow Europeans, and then they later realized that now, okay, we have black people, we can enslave these black people instead of enslaving our own. But I still think that this thing of them enslaving their fellow white men still continues. It continues. But as we continue, I see Kay Williams is saying, stop trying to sing. Aki, that was even rapping. Anyway, I've stopped. But I see Kidio saying, that's a lie, Katie. Of course, it is a lie. It is a lie. Slavery never started in Africa. Or rather, slavery was not started by Africans. But I see Kay Williams is saying, that's good. Stay away from meat. Start your vegan cooking channel. Oh my God, you don't know how I'm struggling with their vegetables. To go to the market, start finding vegetables, it is very hard. Things like meat are everywhere, but now when you start looking for vegetables, you'll have to go to the market, and it is tiresome. But anyway, I see Kivia saying yes, those were the slavic people. Katie, yes, I do agree with you, Keith. And this is now why I'm saying slavery never really started in Africa, or rather, slavery was not started by African people. Slavery was started by the Europeans, because they used to even enslave their own people. And they thought, now, okay, we have black people, we can now use racism to make sure that now we make these people our slaves. But there's this video I'd love to share with you as we continue with our show for today, and also as you keep on giving me points of how you guys were taught about slavery, or rather, where did you think that slavery originated from? Do you think that now it was something that just came, and the Europeans thought that just because we are white, we can enslave the blacks? Do you think that that is what happened? Or rather, why you talk like me that African families could sell their people to go and become slaves just because they are poor and the Europeans are coming with an offer to them? Let me know what you think about the matter as we continue with our show for today. There's this video I'd love to share with you, so let me get to share it with you. Okay, let me
So we'll check here out fact about slavery mentioned in school. This one I'm very curious about. Without further ado, let's get to it. Okay. Black rednecks. And told facts about slavery.
The instrumental use of the history of slavery today also underlies the claim that slavery grew out of racism. For most of its long history, which includes most of the history of the human race, slavery was largely the enslavement of racially different people, for the simple reason only in recent centuries has either the technology or the wealth existed to go to another continent to get slaves and transport them en masse across an ocean. People were enslaved because they were vulnerable, not because of how they looked. The peoples of the Balkans were enslaved by fellow Europeans, as well as by the peoples of the Middle East.
Exactly. We have now the Balkans. These are just Europeans. They were enslaved by fellow Europeans. And people are being enslaved because they are vulnerable in life. And also this happens in Africa. We have modern day slavery. But anyway, let's continue.
At least 6 centuries before the first African was brought to the Western Hemisphere. Before the modern era, by and large, Europeans enslaved other Europeans, Asians enslaved other Asians, Africans enslaved other Africans, and the indigenous peoples of the Western Hemisphere enslaved other indigenous peoples of the Western Hemisphere. Slavery was not based on race, much less on theories about race. Only relatively late in history did enslavement across racial lines occur on such a scale as to promote an ideology of racism that outlasted the institution of slavery itself. Wherever a separate people were enslaved, they were disdained or despised, whether they were different by country, religion, caste, race, or tribe. In East Africa, the Maasai were feared slave raiders.
Yes, it makes sense because okay, at that time they would not enslave their fellow people because of race, because these people are of the same color. And this is now how you get to know people are inhumane. These people are never even like us. They are inhumane. How do you enslave your own people and you look like instead of helping these people, instead of looking out for your brother, you're just there enslaving them. And now this is why we have in Africa, we have people who have followed the steps of these Europeans. They are enslaving their fellow brothers and sisters instead of helping them to get somewhere in life. They enslave them. They want to take advantage of them. But anyway, let's continue.
And other African tribes, either alone or in conjunction with Arabs, enslaved their more vulnerable neighbors. As late as 1891, it was reported that Manyuema slavers had demoralized surrounding tribes, destroying crops, and famine reigned everywhere. Even in the early 20th century, Abyssinians were still raiding other Africans and carrying off slaves. It was 1922 before the British had gained sufficient control in Tanganyika to stamp out slavery there. Arabs were the leading slave raiders in East Africa, ranging over an area larger than all of Europe. The total number of slaves exported from East Africa during the 19th century has been estimated to be at least 2 million.
Wow, okay.
The form in which the story of slavery has reached most people today has been along the lines of the best-selling book and widely watched television miniseries, Roots.
Wait. So, if I'm getting this right, slavery, I mean, the black people see slavery was not just the white people just didn't buy slaves from Africa. They didn't just get slaves from Africa to Europe. It's like something that has been on there, and like they decided to get them because I don't know, they were cheap or something. So I'm trying to.
It was cheap labor, and this is now why we have slaves. We have people being enslaved because they are there to work for something that is very cheap, and sometimes with the no pay. Because if your parents subjected you to slavery, it means that you're not getting anything. It is them who is getting now what you're paid, and it is. I hear we even have, it is crazy that the slavery, even they wrote about slavery in the Bible, and this is how we have people being fooled about religion. We have which book is this? Well, we have Joseph and his brothers. him being sold to the WHO, and he went there, and it is crazy. It is crazy. And they fooled Africans, and Africans thought that, oh, this is even written in the Bible, so we can also be their slaves. We can offer cheap labor to them. Karibu sana, Keith.
Asante Sana, Katie. Be careful, especially like this girl watching it. She doesn't have an intellectual girth to know if she's being propaganda. Half that shit on that video propaganda lies she was listening to. She just said, oh, because the European is now trying to rewrite history because you're starting to find out how wicked and racist the slave trade has been. So they're putting a lot of propaganda out on YouTube and on various other platforms to think that other Africans sold other Africans and what the Europeans thought, and this would happen, that slavery was normal throughout the world. It was not. They're trying to make
And
you
this
believe
is
everybody
why.
was enslaved and everybody enslaved people and all that shit. Her being pretty stupid, not knowing, oh, okay, that's what happened. That ain't what happened.
Yes, this is why I shared this video, because now she's sharing a lot of propaganda, and this is why I shared
Yeah.
this video to say that it is a lie. Africans never used to enslave other Africans. It was until now the Europeans came and thought that we could.
Yeah, because that's
Europeans
exactly
used to enslave
that's
their
the new
own
that's
people
the new that's the
until they
new
realized we
that's
have Africa and we have
that's
black
the
people.
That's the new. They start saying that. Oh, you niggas don't blame us. It was your own tribal kings and chiefs that told your ass to white people. Don't blame us. That's the new scam that they use. They never want to take admittance for what they've done. You know, as if they came and found a whole continent of enslaved people. Africans did use indentured servitude. So let's say the tribes went to war and they captured people. They didn't have slavery the same way Europeans. Let's say they would use these people as labor, of course, but they were allowed to marry into the family to gain their freedom or become part of society. Completely different. They don't even tell you the difference in slavery that they're talking about. Africans never practiced chattel slavery. But a white man did change your religion, change your name, change
And
your
this is
state of being.
also why I think this is why they keep on telling, what we are taught in school. That is what I told you in the beginning of this show. We were taught that Africans could sell their family members to the
Yeah, for
Europeans.
some maid. Yeah,
Yes.
for a second, how the hell they gonna sell your family member for a second maize with the Europeans and have no goddamn groceries to give you? They were starving in Europe. That's why they came out of Europe. That's even a lie I told you about the um about that lie. They were starving in Europe, Katie. I didn't come give you some food. The reason why they left Europe was because they were starving, Katie. That's why they ventured out of Europe, because Europe doesn't have any resources. That's the reason why they left Europe. They didn't leave Europe. Oh, let me just go travel the world because Europe is so great. Let me go travel the world. They came out of Europe, Katie, because Europe was fucked up. That's why they left Europe. Think about Europe. Let me leave Europe and go get these goofy niggas some maize flour. You goofy niggas, we got maize flour for you. Like, what? So, and left Europe, Katie, because they were impoverished. They tell you that they leave Europe because they were, they leave Europe because they were living good. They left Europe because they were fucked up. They were poor, dirty, starving. They said, hey, we found these rich niggas that got everything. But we got military weapons that are more advanced than theirs. We got the gun. They got spears. Shit, we can take over these niggas. We got better technology right now. We got the gun. They don't. We can shoot that shit out their ass.
Very true. But now we just like you said, we have a lot of propaganda trying to prove African history that is wrong. That now they want to relight a whole story And this is why they have been lying even to children. When you get to
Yeah,
school,
they try to blame you for your own slavery. Oh, it's your parents. Your parents sold your no good nigga ass for a bag of flour. What?
and you know, they proved this story, by the way. Think of it. It makes sense. They have proven this story in the Bible. You remember there's this part of the Bible where we have, was it Joseph who was sold out by his brothers to go and become a slave?
Oh, so he's supposed to be sold to Israel. Yeah, that wicked ass phony shit. Yeah. There were never any Jews in any Israel. There never any Jews that built any pyramids in Israel ever. It's all a lie. It's all made up. Africans
Exactly.
and the
Now
Africans,
they, mhm.
Africans and Kemet didn't practice slavery. So the funny part about that, that's an historical truth, but it destroys the Bible. Oh, these slaves of these Jews were in Kemet for 300 years getting whipped and beat. But then history. Kemet didn't practice slavery at all. So is the Kemetians lying, or is your book lying that the white man gave you? Kemetian Africans didn't practice slavery. They were righteous, upright people. They didn't believe in slavery. They didn't practice it. They believe in paid laborers. They got paid for the jobs they did. And women had equal rights in Kemet. So it wasn't a society based on your wicked European standards of putting women on the bottom and enslaving people. There was no slavery in Kemet ever until the Arab got it. Arab got it now. Now it got slavery up that bitch when the Arab got control of it. When the white man and the Arab got control of Kemet, that was a wrap. And now they introduced slavery. When the Africans had Kemet for over 5,000 years up there was no slavery in black. Let me make sure I differentiate that, because they say, oh, this slavery, it was slavery in Egypt. Now, when the Africans had control of it, it wasn't. When the Europeans took it over, and then the Arab took it over in the 7th century, that's when the slavery came. When the Africans controlled Kemet, there was no slavery there. Ever. So, and when the Africans control, that's when you got your goofy Bible shit. That wasn't supposed to all that biblical bullshit happen when the Africans still controlled Kemet. So there was no slavery. So there was no Jews being beaten, kicked, and whipped and beat. That's all bullshit. The Africans didn't practice no slavery in Kemet. That's an historical fact. But now people know that. That goes against your goofy Bible and your goofy Quran. Sorry. Oh, sorry. The history fucks up your dumb religion. Sorry. Go again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, what I'm saying is that slavery never really started in Africa, and Africans never used to enslave other Africans. Actually, slavery started with the Europeans, and they started even enslaving their own people. And now, when they arrived,
Started with the
they
fake white
realized,
Arab
oh,
first.
there's Africa,
Started
where
with
we
the
have
fake white.
people of different race.
Started with the fake white Arab who taught the other white Europeans, Katie. Yeah, started with them. Started with them because they're wicked. They're wicked ass people.
We even have Arabs who used to be enslaved by the Europeans. We have the Europeans who used to enslave Arabs. We have Indians who used to work for the Europeans, and the Indians working for the Arabs. It all started with them. It was not our thing. But now when they came to Africa, or rather when they saw, oh, there's a place called Africa where we have people of different race from us, that is when they started to decide that, like, we can go and enslave those people because they are of different race from us. And this
Exactly.
is now when slavery started. This is
That's
when
what started in mass. Yeah, that's what started mass in Africa. And I also seen Africa is wealthy. African people are like children, they're nice. And we're not nice. We go and rip these niggas off and enslave their ass because African people always want to be nice to everybody and welcoming. Hey, come in, I like you. They don't know you're going to turn around and get bashed upside your goddamn head. Bashed upside your goddamn head and taken away into slavery. The African
Uh-huh.
African doesn't realize everybody's not like him. He's not people are not loving and caring and want to be your friend. People want what you got. Africa's
True.
wealthy. I want it.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And actually, slavery in Africa was brought by the Portuguese. We have the European kingdoms, and also it mainly the Portuguese. And then this is when we have now we had the Arabs also getting to
Yeah,
Africa,
that's the that.
getting
Yeah,
to
that was the
enslave.
European. That was the European jump off. The Portuguese started for the European, from Portugal to Spain to France to England to the Dutch. Yeah, the Portuguese jumped it off in Europe, but they learned it from the no good dirty Arabs first. So they would contribute with the Arabs. So you have wars in these African kingdoms
Mm-hmm.
about these Europeans coming stealing their people, and it was definitely racial because they wouldn't put no more white people in slaves back then. They were going to use these dirty niggas. These niggas are beneath us. We'll give them this bullshit Christianity. That's why I said I gotta make everybody watch that Queen of Zinga movie on Netflix. Gotta make this thing as how a Zinga fought these Europeans. They kept saying, we're gonna make you niggas worship Jesus. Oh, your Jesus wants slaves? That's how it was. Contentious, not this bullshit, not this fake shit they tell you. It was
Mm-hmm.
contentious. Oh, your God needs slaves? What kind of God is this? That keeps even African slaves. Say you're gonna submit to our Jesus and our God. We're not submitting to your fucked up God. Why would your God need us as a goddamn slave? So
Mm-hmm.
they don't. When Africa got weak, all them wars and slaves get taken. They came back colonized Africa because it was very very weak. So that's when you get the children and you can teach them lies. Yes, your people were savages when we got here, and we gave you Jesus because you niggas were fucked up. So all your real history was so you niggas is all fucked up and you're evil. And us good white people came in to save your goofy ass. But you got all our land, yes, we took your land, so but we gave you Jesus, nigga. But as Africa finds itself today, the people not knowing real history and worshiping white people and fake Jesus. They were told that their ancestors were evil. They were told that they weren't civilized. They were told African doesn't know he's civilized the world. Katie showed in one of those videos she showed last week. African went out to America, went everywhere civilizing the planet. The African went teaching everybody everything. But like Katie said, you're not taught that none of your damn schools. Then your schools are,
You know,
yeah, the European is our savior, and the missionaries we were savages.
that
Go,
is
go,
what
Katie.
we are taught. That is what we were told. But what were the reasons why now the Arabs, the Europeans would come to enslave Africans? I think one of the things is because now they could get Africans easily, because if the moment you start enticing an African who has never seen maybe a Mzungu, or rather a white person, most of them felt like, oh, this is something new I've never seen, and maybe they are better than us. And this is how African were caught. But most of them were enslaved to go and work in their farms, like they used to like it was fast labor, or rather cheap labor. And also
Uh-huh.
these Europeans would come to enslave Africans for human trafficking, because they would go now and start selling them as slaves in their countries. And that
Of
is
course.
that was yes, that was a source of living for them. And also you would find even child slavery during those times. But these are the things we never
Of
taught. These
course.
are things we were never taught. That now it was until the Portuguese, the Europeans got to Africa. This is when slavery began.
So I want
Remember,
the
you
guy. I want to
Mhm.
bring the youth. I don't want no old slave. I need the youth to build my empire, Katie. I can't do that with an old nigga. I don't want these old niggas. I want the
And it
youth.
was until they got to Africa this is when prostitution started, because they would come and slave our women and make sure they do all those dirty works, or rather they use them as
Not just that. Not just that. The Arab would come and steal African women for coochie. They were called harem. They would just take African
exactly.
women so they could rape. Yeah.
There was this video I was sharing when the Europeans realized that now African women have strong genes, and also African people have strong genes. They started stealing them and sleeping with them so that they would give them now babies. And they wanted now to make sure that the genes of Africans would be passed through their families. And it is crazy, because we have Africans who would marry these people willingly, while we have others who are stolen from their homes and being forced
Yeah.
to marry white
But the
people.
journalists thinking about these other people, all one African person has to do is go back to black, even if they're mulatto, and they'll wipe out their white and Arab genes, because the African genes are the strongest. All you gotta do is take one mulatto, go back and marry a black person, have a black child, because those African genes are the strongest. Always. It always go back to black. If you go back to black, your children go back to black. You always, because the genetics are stronger. African genetics, they know that they know that no matter how many mulattoes they make, if that person goes back to black, they wipe out the Chinese in that shit. They wipe out the European in that shit. They wipe out the Arab in that shit. It goes back to black. That's about it. That's nothing they're scared about. Because the African genetics are so strong, it's the strongest on the planet. You can't even debate it. It's not even debatable who's got the strongest genetics. So that means the African woman is the closest thing to God. It's not even debatable. So I don't care about your fake white cracker Jesus. When you look at the African woman, she's the closest thing to God on the planet. I don't say so, but genetics say so. God damn it. I don't say so, her genetics say so. And you goddamn no good bastards know that's the truth. I don't say, so why don't you go sleep with your white Jesus? Shit. Why don't you go sleep with your white Jesus? See if your white Jesus give you a baby. But the African woman will give you a baby. She's the closest thing to God on this planet, genetically speaking. That's just a fact. I don't give a shit whether you like it or not.
Okay, and now we have Africans who adopted this thing, or rather this habit of slavery, and now they put it into action, and they started enslaving now the other Africans. And it was, remember, I keep on telling, I'll keep on saying this, it was until the Europeans landed in Africa and started enslaving Africans. This is where Africans learned from.
Exactly. The Africans started, some African kingdom started also practicing in that practice slavery of helping. So they helped deplete their own continent, not realizing that once you deplete your own continent, moron, the European was gonna come back and take it all. Because like you said, you didn't practice black unity. See, the white man had no unity with your stupid ass because you're black. You thought he was your buddy. Motherfucker, he said you somebody can use. Deplete the continent, then I'm gonna come back and enslave your stupid ass. You moron, because you helped me deplete your own continent, your own, like Dick said, your own brothers. You willingly sold your own brothers into slavery, thinking that I'm your fucking buddy. I'm gonna come back and enslave your stupid ass too. And that's called colonialization. You don't got enough Africans to fight me, moron. You help deplete the continent because you said you were different tribes and different kingdoms. We're a white kingdom. And we're gonna come and colonize all you niggas. And that's what we did. We put up the borders so you'll stay poor. And then we gave you all our goofy religions of worshiping us. When you leave the continent, you think white people like you. You don't know we don't even like your ass. You're mixed up backwards. And yes, we did it. That's called power. And we don't even apologize for it, because that's what power does. That's power, nigga. That's why you call yourself Katie. That's why you call yourself Natalie. That's why you call yourself Queen Victoria, the Victoria Lakes. That's power, nigga. Go ahead, Casey.
Okay. I even lost my point. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that slavery
The
never got
point is
into
power, Katie. Power.
it was until the Europeans landed in Africa, and this is when Africans started practicing slavery, or rather, enslaving other Africans. But remember, I keep on losing this point. Anyway, I keep on losing this point. What's okay, I lost it, but anyway, it was a very very big point. But anyway, what I'm it is you, kid, you keep on making me lose my point. But what I'm saying is that now we have people who took slavery, or rather who took now we can say, like, slavery was one form of westernization by the Europeans, because we saw now Africans who started being westernized and thought that, okay, so we can enslave vulnerable people even in our communities. Remember, it was only seen in the European areas, or rather in the Europeans, where in the Europe, or rather where the Europeans used to live, or these white people with the weird race used to live. It was only seen there. They used to enslave even their own people, and now we had African people who got enslaved, and that not even enslaved, who got westernized and thought that we can enslave our own people, the vulnerable people in our communities, the vulnerable neighbors in our places. And this is now where we see even people in Africa, people who are vulnerable, they work as a cheap labor in those wealthy people's places, or rather wealthy people's farms, wealthy people's homes. And it is crazy. You see, those people who use their fellow people as slaves in Africa, those are westernized people. This is what I'd say. They were subject to the first form of westernization. They got westernized and thought that it is a right to even enslave your own brother, to even enslave your own sister. And this is how now we have westernization in Africa. Don't us yes, westernization and also slavery in Africa. But don't forget, we also have now the modern day slavery. What is modern day slavery? Modern day slavery is like, you find me, I'm working for a person, maybe I'm working for Kid, and this and Kid is paying me maybe $1 a day. That is also slavery. Maybe I'm working for Kid without no pay, just because I have to be here, I'm working, I have to come here, or just because I have nowhere else to go and I feel vulnerable and also desperate, I have to come here and work for free just to pass my day. That is also modern day slavery. And we have even people with people who are enslaving children. And I've seen this especially in Africa, Ghana. I don't know what is wrong with people. It is also happening in Africa. So many African countries, we have places like Kenya. You would find a boy who is very little working for a whole family. You would find a house girl, or rather a house assistant, at a family of 5, and she's working maybe at the age of 18. That is still slavery. She's working at the age of 17. That is modern day slavery. And it is very bad, because those people who still practice slavery up to date, they are westernized people. And these people are very bad even to our community and society, because whatever they are doing now to their African people, they are like, it is like taking advantage of their situation. Instead of helping your brother, instead of helping, or rather uplifting somebody who is vulnerable, you take advantage of them. But what do you think that has led to this? May I think modern day slavery is because of poverty. One, because if I'm poor, I have to work very hard to bring food to my table. So we can blame it on poverty. Also, we can blame it on the economy, because if the economy of the country is very bad. It will push me to a point that for me to afford that ugali flour, I have to work tiresomely, like that one, it has refused to come. But anyway, what I'm saying is that you have to work hard for you to bring ugali flour to your table, or rather for you to bring that ugali to your table. So we say we blame poverty, we also blame the economy, and also the high standard of living, or rather the high cost of living. Right now, the cost of living is going high every day. Right here in Kenya, I'm even starting to get worried. The cost of living is going high every day. It is crazy how the dollar is rising every day. Our currency is depreciating every day, and it is crazy. Yesterday, we woke up to a high, or rather to like a rise of fuel prices. Right now, we are getting fuel prices at 183 Kenyan shillings, and that is very expensive. That is a liter of fuel. And also, right now, the dollar is 1 dollar is equal to 137 Kenyan shillings. Can you imagine? This is what I'm saying. We can blame it on the high cost of living, because the cost of living is getting crazy every day, every day, every day. What else can we blame to this modern day slavery? Because we have a lot of things to blame. Also, we have westernization. People who are westernized will enslave you any day, anytime. If you have neighbors who are westernized and they feel like you are vulnerable in the community, they will take advantage of you. They will take advantage of you every day, every day, every day. And this leads to slavery, because you have nothing to do. You're vulnerable, you're struggling yourself, so you can't do anything. But anyway, what I'm trying to mean is slavery never began in Africa, or rather slavery was not in Africa. It was until the Portuguese landed in Africa, the British landed in Africa, the Europeans landed in Africa. This is now when we started seeing slavery in Africa. And just like I said, we were taught that slavery, or rather this whole thing of slave trade was brought up by poverty in Africa. People were living in bad conditions, people not having food. And I was like, in Africa, this is where we used to have people farming, people have bananas, people have arrowroots, they have good food in Africa. Why would you think that now we have Africans who are selling their family members to the Europeans just to make sure that they get one bag of maize? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. These are Europeans trying to relight the history so that they will always look like the good person here. They want to make sure that in whatever story is out there, they are always the better people here. But at the end of the day, we know who is the devil here. We know who is the devil here. And by the fact that they have already westernized so many of us, or rather so many of the black people, they feel like now these black people who are westernized, they will make sure that Africans look like the bad person, or rather the worst person, the devil in the story, because whenever they are able to use them to pass the stories of how slavery started, just like we had this girl talking about slavery in Africa, just like we had her say that Africans would enslave their fellow Africans. This is how now the Europeans are using Africans who are westernized to make sure that their word is all over the black nations. And this is how they keep on conquering us. But so it is until now, we as Africans, we decide it is time for us to write our own history. We have the right history, we have the right knowledge, and we have the real history. So it is until now we start to relight our own and decide we are not taking this history that they have written. Actually, we are going to destroy it, because now we have so many African people who are falling to the lies, who are falling for the lies of this white man saying that I was the one who did this. The Europeans discovered this. The Europeans were the first people to settle in America. And this is a very big lie. It was the Africans who are the first ones to settle in America. Actually, Africans discovered America, but they just use a lie to make sure that, we believe in them so much. But anyway, family, we are coming to the end of our show for today. I hope you have enjoyed the show. I hope you have learned something, a thing or two, and I hope you knew that slavery never really started in Africa. Slavery was brought here by the white man. Slavery was never an African thing. If you hear somebody saying that Africans used to sell their fellow Africans to the Europeans, it might be, but remember, they never used to sell them. It was a situation where the Europeans came and still the Africans from their own places, from their own homes, to go and make them slaves, because there is no way you would buy a slave and go and sell them again. They used to make sure that we steal these people, we go and enslave them, and without no pay. But anyway, family, asanteni sana for being with us on today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation. Asanteni sana to all those who interacted. I see Kid, you're saying exactly 100% KT, because it is a lie. Yes, it is a lie. And this is why we have, every lie, it has some story behind it, some story supporting the lie, so that you wouldn't doubt it. And this is why we have even religion covering the story of slavery, how we have this guy Joseph, who was sold by his brothers to go and become a slave. We have so many lies we have so many stories trying to cover for a lie. Every lie, it has so many stories trying to cover up for it. But anyway, what I was saying is, I hope you have enjoyed the show, and I hope you have learned something or a thing or two. And to all those who interacted, General Mosquito, K. Williams, Kid, and to the rest of the silent listeners, asanteni sana. Make sure you smash the like button before you leave. And also, to all those who are new here, subscribe. To all those who are listening to me via the radio station, asanteni sana. And also to everybody who tuned in, make sure you don't leave without smashing the like button. Kwaherini, enjoy the rest part of your day, but don't forget to join us on the next episode of the Rhythm Scoop Show. We will be on in the next 10 minutes. Don't forget to join us. Kwaherini.
MC, Steve, MCA, USA, USB, naka charger type C. Karakter we develop vipa, ADHD ndani ya BNP. MC, Steve, MCA, USA, USB, naka charger type C.
Karakter we develop
vipa, ADHD ndani ya BNP. Screen yangu bado ni JVC, old school blood mi wana KBC. Kitu mbaya si wa CST, watu wa CBC unaweza tuta Gen Z. Same thing, she still